Hey, ladies, we are back. We had just a little bit of technical difficulties, but we are back. Hopefully, you were able to go grab some dinner and a snack, and, hopefully your notifications are on. You're part of the notification gang, and we're back on. So, what we decided to do is that we're going to save the topic that we were going to talk about and for another live, and we'll just do a live Q&A. So, Patricia, should we kick this off? Um, I hope I didn't make this unlisted.
Well, I see an eye. There's an eye there. So
Good.
let's see.
Okay, we're back.
Well, why don't we go to the Instagram questions?
Yes,
At
that.
least a couple of, maybe one or two of them
Mm,
while people are making their way back.
yes. Okay.
Let's address those. My phone is dead, so you don't have to help me out
Okay. Yes.
anymore.
Okay. I actually screenshot those questions.
Good, good, good.
Girl, be looking out for you. So, ladies, if
Yes.
you're tuning in, we are going to evening Caribbean Curls. Okay, we are just going to do a little live Q&A because of our
Yeah.
difficulties. But let me pull up these questions that came up the other day. So, one question we had was, right, yes, okay. I actually, what was that? Uh-oh. How do we hope? How do you keep hope for finding someone in this, and I quote, sea of dusty men? Kirby Girl said, it's still my birthday for 3 minutes where I am. Yay, we made it for your birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday. So, okay, question number one. How do you keep hope for finding someone in this sea of dusty men? Patricia, you wanna kick us off?
Oh, sea of dusty men. So, first of all, I should say, um, at a time I could relate to the feeling,
Mm-hmm.
but what I will say, what you focus on is what you'll see, and your perspective shapes your experience. And so, if you feel that what is out there is dusty, you will attract dusty. Um, what I will tell you is a lot of good men out there, and I know some of them. Um, and and so while you may be surrounded by the wrong type of men, um, that's not reality. That's your perspective. And so my challenge would be to this person. My challenge would be is to change your environment. Well, first of all, change your perspective and change your environment, and you will see that there are plenty of healthy, good looking, educated fish in the sea.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. I would also be curious is what do they mean by dusty? Because I will say there was a season in my life where I didn't really understand how men functioned, how they operate, how they think, and so because of their nature was very different than what I was familiar with, and it was so foreign to me, I didn't like it. I was just like, why do they think like this? Why do they do the things that they do? Why do they say the things that they say? And like you, I probably, if that was language at the time, probably would have considered them dusty. And so I'd be curious as to, what do you mean by dusty men? Whoever, if they're watching the replay or watching live, and then also, Patricia, I 100% agree with you. Like I say it's kind of like when you see a car that you like, or you bought a car, or you got your eye on a car, and you never saw anybody with that car, right? And then the moment you get it, you're like, everybody has this, and it's because you're focused on it now, right? So if your perception is that the world is a sea of dusty men, then you will be clouded by the dust, and the non-dusty you're not going to be able to see, because your attention is focused on dusty men, right? Um, and so if the algorithm on social media is sending you videos of men who say, slick things about women, if the algorithm on YouTube is sending you videos of more women talking about dusty sea of men, right? Then you're in an echo chamber of what you say you don't want, right? And so, yeah, I would say change the way you think. And then also, what is it about men that you consider dusty? Is it because they're flawed? Because the good ones are flawed. We as women
Hmm.
are flawed. So that's just my little sprinkle to what Patricia said there. So, okay, next question. Um, here we go. How to successfully get out of a fun situationship in hopes to find your forever love.
Why don't you? Yes, by the way, you guys, we're taking questions. So if you have any questions, leave them in the chat, and we will address them.
Yes. So when I read this, okay, how to successfully get out of a fun situationship in hopes to find your forever love. To me, the answer is in the question. You've got to get out of the fun situationship if you want to find your forever love. But also, I'm going to add to this person that it's still fun to you, right? So you don't really have any
Hmm.
motivation to leave, to go get something you want. You're enjoying it, right? For whatever reason, even if it's not giving you all of what you want, it's giving you something, okay? And so it's how do you successfully do it? You make a decision and you say, this is not what I desire. So thank you. It's been fun, and I'm going to move on for something else. And listen, nature hates a vacuum, right? So if you say, like, I'm clearing this space and I'm very clear about what I want, what your definition of forever love is, then do that. Like, to me, this is not a complicated answer. You end the fun situationship and then you spend the energy that you were using having fun on finding that forever love. Patricia, your thoughts?
First of all, I agree with everything that you're saying, and it's going to be. I'll say that it's going to be really difficult to grab a hold of a forever love while you're still holding on to this situationships. And can we just talk about situationships
Yes.
for a little bit? Shout out G Angel watching at midnight from London.
Hey.
um, hey girl, hey. I'm just really not a fan. Can we just in the year of our Lord 2021 just either we are or we aren't? Can we get to that place
Right.
whether we just are dating in a relationship or we're not, and not in that gray middle ground?
Mhm.
Can we elevate ourselves to the point where someone where there is no access without relationship? And by relationship, I mean commitment. That's the word that I really want to use.
Yes.
And access can be a lot of things. It can be to the obvious, which is the body, but definitely also to the time, to the emotions, to all of that. Can we in our year, in this year 2021, get rid of situationships? I think it's to know someone, you're in that dating phase, right? That will lead to commitment on some level. That's different. But this whole I'm just swimming in the gray relationship, can we just toss that to the side and
Right.
just retire that word? Because as we're seeing in this example, it's not serving her because she has on some level some desire to find love,
Hmm.
right? And it's clearly in this situationship. And so what's happening here is that there is just a band-aid over a wound. right? And for as long as you're licking this wound, it won't heal. So let's get some saline and some gauze and really put in some work so that it can heal. Those are my comments.
Yes. Okay. Because here's the thing. Why are we voluntarily signing up for situationships? I mean, at this point, and most of the women that I'm sure that we are dialoguing with, that means you walked in with your eyes wide open, right? Or at least you agreed to at some point. And at one point, did you go, you know what? I know I wanted more, but I will settle for this. Or maybe you convinced yourself that at that time, maybe that when you started that situation, that that's what you wanted. Maybe you wanted a hot girl situationship. I'm not even about to get into that. Um, and it ain't working. Okay. So that's our feedback on that. Um, let's see. Let's go on to the next question here. Oh, well, we said we were going to save this one. So I'm going to slide past that. So this one just says finding our purpose. Um, wait a minute. Queenly Gina says, let's get some saline and some gauze. That for Patricia, yes, because it's a no over here for us. It's a hard no. And ladies, you can always ask your questions in the comments about anything that we're discussing. We definitely took these from social media, but this question, it's very simple. It just says finding our purpose, which is really generic. Or well, I don't want to say generic. Excuse me, that's not what I meant. Broad. So I would have to see how to. Let me just handle that right there. I would
Please.
I would just have to see, like, I would need to know finding your purpose. Like, what is it that you? It's just broad to me. I don't know. Pretty sure. Do you have some initial thoughts? Because that's just it's a very broad spectrum question to me.
Um, yeah, it is, and I have a lot of thoughts on it. Like we can make a whole separate video for me and finding your purpose. I think, girl, it's just so much to be said. Okay, so first of all, I think that there is a lot of hype around this idea of purpose
Mhm.
and a lot of propaganda, a lot of money is made around this idea of purpose. And I'll be honest with you, and I don't want to be blasphemous, but I do feel like this idea of purpose, in the way that we understand it, is not really biblical, especially in the spiritual context.
Mhm.
Let me take a quick sip before I say what I'm going to say.
Mhm.
And I think we really do have to be careful that we don't idealize and make an idol of this idea of purpose.
Mhm.
I think that a lot of us have talents and we have gifts. The Bible does talk about that. I'm going to speak in the spiritual context because that's what I know.
Mhm.
The Bible talks about talents and gifts. If we just use David as an example, David was a musician.
Mhm.
He also was a warrior. He also had good leadership skills because he was a king. He was a warrior, but then he was a very soft, also emotional kind of man as well. He was good at connecting with people. He had many talents. What would you call his purpose, though?
Right.
Was it just one thing? And I think all of us are kind of trying to find that one thing and in search of that one thing when we've been gifted with many things that we can serve others in many ways with. And so I'm not giving an answer, but what I'm saying is don't let your lack of this idea of purpose, the way it's being marketed, make you feel like you're not doing what you're supposed to do in your life. Take a look at your life. What are your talents? What are your gifts? And are you using them? And this idea of purpose, somehow your purpose is supposed to be monetized or make you money or make you rich and famous. I also take issue with as well because honestly, I believe that everybody has the same purpose, and that's to serve God and serve others. The way we do it looks different, and we do that with our talents and gifts. And some of them are monetized, and some of them isn't, or aren't. And that doesn't mean that one is better than the other. Like I said, we can do a whole video on that because I have very strong feelings on this idea of purpose. Maybe we could do a whole live on that, but I don't know. What are your thoughts, Evelyn?
You know what? I am in what they like to call violent agreement. Okay. I let me speak from personal experience. I went through that. Am I living my purpose? Am I doing what God has called me to do? Whatever. And when I tell you, it was so exhausting, so frustrating. It felt like a moving target
Hmm.
that at some point
Yeah.
I was like, this can't be from God. Like I don't feel like God put me down here and was like, figure it out. I ain't gonna tell you, but you better figure it out before I see you again. You know what I mean? Like, and so, I will say this: the thing that got me out of that mindset was really getting back to my word. We've talked a lot before about having your own set of beliefs, and really getting to know God for yourself. And when you really read through scripture, like Patricia said, this purpose talk isn't in there, right? And so, who came up with that? If anything,
Yeah.
if I were to try to play the other side of the coin, I would say maybe when this talk about, the purpose driven life and all that came about, maybe the intent was to say to live your life with intention, right? But
Yeah.
I think it morphed into there's this mysterious one thing that you need to spend all
Hmm.
your time, energy, and resources to figure out to do. And if you don't figure it out, and if you don't do it, somehow you have failed at life. And it would, and
Hmm.
I just was like, I just don't believe that, right? And so, when you really, and obviously Patricia and I are both believers, so we're always gonna come from that perspective. But when you really read through scripture, from the beginning, God is like, I just want to hang out with y'all. Like, I want to be in relationship
Hmm.
with you, and I want y'all to treat each other well. Like that was like the original mission. So this idea that there's this, I have one purpose, and I need to spend all of my extracurricular time trying to figure out what that is. uh B, that has to be my profession. Okay.
Hmm.
C, it has to be profitable.
Hmm.
Okay. We'll have you out here stressed out,
Yeah.
or
Hmm.
or feeling like you're not good enough. None
Yeah.
of those three is what I feel like God wants for us. And so,
Yeah.
I know that the question was, how do you find it? You live life. You live life, you enjoy life, you stay in close relationship with God, you move when he says move, you pause when he says pause, but you enjoy life. You take risks and trust your own intuition. And if you make a wrong turn, okay, maybe I should have turned right when I turned left. I learned life's not over. You know what I mean? And that's my response. I mean, I think we're saying the same thing, but as someone who went down that hamster wheel and then one day was like, there is no answer. In every season of my life, how I'm supposed to be, functioning and loving others is going to look different. Me at this age, and
Right.
what I feel like I contribute to my friends, my family, the world around me, even to myself, is way different than what I was contributing at 20 and 25. So, can you imagine if I ignored the things and said, but that doesn't really fit with my life's purpose? I'm supposed to just do this. That's my answer. So, Um, okay, we had another question from the chat from SJ. And it says, "You've returned. How long will you be on for?" We don't know. It took us about 2 hours to get our difficulties together. So we don't know. But her question is, my question was advice for getting your finances in order and how to set security for yourself as a woman. Um, I have Patricia. You want to tackle that first?
Advice for getting your finances in order. Okay. All right. So I'll tell you, well, first of all, um, how much are you spending? I think there finding out exactly how much you're spending, I think is a good finding out where you are is really an important first step. Using there's certain apps like Mint and that tell you how much money you spend and where you spend it. And I think seeing where you are will expose some of your spending habits, and based on that, you can look into budgeting based on where you want to go, right? And I think that's an important piece of it too. Finding out what do you want to do with your money. Uh, what does it serve you? How does it serve you in your life? And is it that you want to be able to, go on a trip every year, or is it that you want to? Are you saving for a home? Are you trying to invest? So, what are your financial goals? I think that's an important piece as well in terms of creating budgeting. But um, and then also defining what security means to you, and because I think that's different for everybody. Is that having 6 months worth of living in your bank account at all times? Is that having a set amount, like an X amount of dollars, $10,000 of savings? Is that what security is to you? So defining that so that you know what you're working towards, right? So to sum up, find out where you are and find out where you're going, and then create a plan.
Mhm. I'm gonna add to that. My mother is a certified financial planner, and this is like her favorite thing to talk about. So living under that for years, and just hearing some of the backstories of like her clients that she's done financial planning for, budgeting, things like that. I want to kind of add some things around what Patricia said. When you do not have an end goal in mind, um, you know, it's really hard to discipline yourself around money, right? My mom always says, and I forgot who she got it from, was like, all a budget is telling your money where to go so you don't wonder where it went, right? But if you don't have a goal, whether that's a set amount, whether that is, like what you said, set amount of months, whether that's I'm trying to make a purchase, whether that is I want to just have this much excess left over every month, then it's hard to make financial decisions if you don't know what the mile markers are, right? So it's kind of like a GPS. You got to put the end coordinates in there, and then the GPS will say, do you want to go the short way, the long way, the fast way, the way without tolls? And that's how you start to make financial decisions. Also, like Patricia said, define security, but then also if you say, Evelyn, I do have financial goals and I still am, not meeting them in the way, I would say sometimes there might be, an emotional component underneath that. So I forgot the name of the book, but it was basically, there's a book called The Five Love Languages, right? But there is another piece of literature, and if I can find it, y'all, I will put it on the community tab. But it talks about what your money language is, right? Because for some people, money equals freedom, and so that's how they spend their money. Some people, money equals security, and that's how they manage their money. And there's other iterations, right? And I think really knowing what your money personality type is will help you not beat yourself up, because money rules are not a one size fits all, right? And I will also say, some people are extreme savers, and they're like, how do I get my finances together, because they won't go and do the things that they want to do because they are so afraid, right? And some people are super spenders and they can't save for anything, right? And so I don't want to assume that, with that question, it means that you're an overspender, because I don't know, you could be anywhere along that spectrum. But I think having a financial plan together is important. And I will say this: what you want, if you're looking for support, is you need to find somebody who is a certified financial planner, not a financial advisor, okay? Because they're only looking at a piece of your financial picture, not a stockbroker, because they're not a financial advisor, not someone who just sells insurance. Somebody who's going to say, I need to look at your income. I need to look at your retirement. I need to look at your tax liability. I need to look at your spending. I need to look at your insurances, right? Like your risk, or what, all of these things, right? Like where they're not looking at just a piece of your financial picture. They're looking at a holistic point of view, because all of those things affect each other, right? They're also looking at your credit. They're looking at all those things together. And a lot of financial professionals only specialize in one thing. So, I know I said a lot there, but it's like you want to find somebody who can look at all areas of your finances and help you put together a cohesive plan. For some people, is they need to save more. Some people, the issue is not that they're not saving enough; they're just not making enough, right? And maybe they need to get a new job, or maybe they need to find a way to make money on the side. Some people are making plenty, but they're getting taken to the bank because their tax burden is enormous, and they don't even know that their tax bill is probably sometimes bigger than their mortgage bill, right? So, finding someone who will look at you holistically and saying, you don't even know, you might be overpaying in taxes, or you need a tax deduction if you're single with no kids and you make over a certain amount, right? Or you're not maximizing, this place to put money away. And I think having a financial strategy from someone who studies finances would be beneficial. Okay, that was my super long answer. Um, okay, so let me see. Do we have any other questions? I don't think we have any more questions, ladies. If you have any more questions, you can definitely put them in the chat. I think that was the majority of the questions from Instagram that we said that we were going to talk about today. G Angel, can you type? I don't know what that means. Struggle to have a spirit of ABI. I don't know what that means. G Angel, can you
Not
can
sure.
you retype your question? Can you expound on that? I'm not sure what that means, y'all. Uh, Glamazini
How are you seeing all this?
in the chat. Can you not see the chat?
Oh, there it is. I think mine is a little bit delayed.
Okay. Glamazini says, "Hello, did I miss the chat about the video on the previous live, girl?" Okay, while we waiting for other people to get in, let me tell you. No, we we're gonna do that in another live, because
Ooh.
we had some technical difficulties that took us about an hour and 45 minutes to work through. And we want to give that video the proper time that we need to dissect, discuss, engage. So we have not discussed that, because I feel like that's going to be a 90-minute live by itself.
Hmm.
What do you think, Patricia? I mean, we can skip.
No, I agree. I agree. I totally
I'm probably
agree.
going to delete those videos, and we'll do it over.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It's a good one, though. It's a good one, and I look forward to that discussion. I really do.
I do. I was ready. I was ready with the spice. Listen, Patricia had notes and everything. She said, I saw that and I was looking for the rest child. Because you already know it was about to be juicy. Mm-mm-mm. Listen. Ladies, do we have any other questions?
She said spirit of abundance.
Oh. Ooh.
Wait, so what's the first half of the question?
So she said she struggles
Oh,
to have a spirit of abundance.
oh, so you struggle with having.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I'm not messing with Glambazini. She said, okay, dress. I'll look out for it because I was ready to shoot. Okay. So let's go back to spirit of abundance. Mm, there's so much I could say. Patricia, how do you want to enter into that dialogue?
Um, that's a difficult one. For me, this so the spirit of abundance is it's a mindset. When I think of spiritual abundance, spirit of abundance, I think of mindset. I think of openness. Honestly, I think of femininity. I think of positivity. Um, and I think that it's really important in order for you to um, open yourself to the life that you want, because it has a lot to do with perspective as well. Um, I think a lot of us are in the spirit of can't have, can't do, can't go, and whatever other limiting beliefs that we have, and we sort of forfeit a lot of things in our life because we forfeit that spirit of abundance. But I don't know. What do you think, Evelyn?
I think you're right when it's about perspective. And I don't know the exact scripture off the top of my head, but it's basically like, the birds don't worry about, how they're going to get fed, right? And here's a better example. When I think of abundance, I think about grass. And think about just how many blades of grass are in one little patch, right? Or I think about like a grain of sand and how there's just so much sand. Yeah, I used to have this concern in business that I would run out of ideas, right? Like I used to be like, oh, I can't do that idea because I'm going to run out of ideas. And then God was like, are you the generator of ideas or am I the generator of ideas? And I was like, you're the generator of ideas. And he was like, so I don't run out of ideas. And I was like, you're right. Okay. And so I will say, like, one of my favorite things, my mom has a garden, and one of my favorite things about her having a garden is that you see abundance in action. You see one itty bitty seed get planted and produce all these fruit that have hundreds of seeds from one seed. And to me, that is the essence of abundance, right? That whether it's there's an abundance of I have all the time that I need, right, to complete a task, right? Versus I never have any time. I never have any time. It's that mindset, right? If I feel that I never have enough time, I'm literally going to set my life up in such a way that I don't ever have enough time, right?
Mhm.
If I feel like there's no good men out there and there's just a sea of dusty men, then I have convinced myself that out of the billions of people on planet Earth, that my little slice sub experience is a reflection of everything that's happening in the world, right? Um, when I think about how many books there are, how many people, like, I guess in my mind, abundance is smacking us in the face everywhere, right? If you live near a body of water, think about all the organisms that are in there and have been in there since the beginning of the time. They keep coming back. They keep coming back, like, to no end. And so I really, to me, all I'm doing is underscoring what Patricia said, which is it is in the spirit of abundance to me. is a lens in which you look through the world, right? You either are looking through a spirit of lack, not enough time, I don't have enough energy, I don't have enough money, there's not enough men, I don't know enough, I'm not enough, whatever, right? There's the spirit of lack, or there's so much. I have everything that I need. God will supply all my needs. There's so many. There's, one of my favorite things by the bronze goddess, life coach Shonda, she says all the time is there's so many good men running around here loose. When you look through that lens, that's the experience that you start to have, right? So, I would really say I would almost start like an abundance journal. I know that sounds weird. And really take note every day of like, every time I turn on the faucet, there's water. For my entire life, there's been water. It never not rains. There have always been clouds in the sky. The moon is still hanging. Like, you know what I mean? Right? Whether it's a blade of grass, the ants. I think about squirrels. Squirrels are not concerned that they're not going to eat. They just be out here. Okay. In your attic. Okay. That's a conversation for another day. So I would say, as a beginning practice, is just start to notice abundance around you. Look at how many people there are. Look at how many flowers there are, right? Just go look at a patch of grass, right? Go look at pictures of the ocean and go, that thing has never dried up.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. It's never dried, ever. Never dried up. So, and you'll start to see that the earth is abundant, God is abundant, life is abundant, but it's a lens, it's a mindset in which the way you view life. And I don't want to assume, but most people, when they think about abundance, they're just thinking about money. And listen, they print money every day, right? So even from that perspective, there's an abundance of money, right? So, okay, I think I have beat that one to death, but I that's the thing that I really hope for people, is that they really can see how abundant God is. Even if you think about, the male anatomy, right? And their seed, like it's in abundance. Okay. Think about the hairs on your head, right? Like, we've been shedding hair since we had hair. And it just, except for some people, but it keep coming back. Okay. So that's my thoughts. Okay. Caribbean Curl says, wait, before I get to that, let me put up what G Angel said. She just said, it can be hard sometimes. Exterior voices. Thank you so much. Abundance journal. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great place to start. And then ask God to show you, show me the abundance that I don't see that's in my face every day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Do you think manifestation is healthy or delusional, godly or not? Do you want me to go first, or would you like to go first, Patricia?
Yeah, go ahead. Let me turn the slide on because it's getting dark out here. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So, y'all know me, I'm probably gonna go left before I go right. There are lots of spiritual principles at play in the world. Okay. And how do I want to put this? And some things have been renamed, rebranded, to make people feel more comfortable. So I can't say that I'm necessarily for or against manifestation. But what I am for is that the scripture does tell us that as a man think of in his heart, so is he, right? But I think the misconception about, speak those things that are not as though they were, and as a man think of it his heart, so is he, and manifestation, or whatever version of that thought path we're talking about, I think the thing that makes it could make it unhealthy is this belief that there's no effort that goes behind it. Um, and so for me, I'm always concerned when people are like, I'm just gonna manifest this thing and that's just what I'm gonna do and it's gonna magically show up. I think that's the unhealthy thought process, godly or ungodly, right? So I'm gonna start there. That's my first round draft answer. Patricia, your thoughts?
Um, is manifestation healthy? I will say sometimes. Is it delusional? Sometimes. Is it godly? I think it's in its core. Yes, but I think what we do with it, can sometimes be ungodly. And so I agree with what Evelyn said in that. Um, I mean, from a biblical perspective, and then just from a scientific perspective, you know, what focus on elevates. We used the example with the car earlier. The moment you see it everywhere, because it's now part of your. It's so now you experience it everywhere, and so there is, I guess, scientific aspect of it and spiritual aspect of it, as well. I think it's really what I like about it, I should say, is the focus on perspective, because I do feel that's a piece that a lot of people struggle with. Um, I'm not going to have, and man, why did I have to do that? And what, dang, I'm dumb. Like, oh, dang, that, just this negative self talk and just negative perspective, I think is blocking a lot of us. And so I like that aspect of it because I do feel like it's the area that a lot of people struggle in. To your question directly, I do feel like it can be healthy. So I think it can be uh, godly. So it's not delusional. I think in form. What is that breed? What is that sound?
Is it gone now?
Yeah.
Okay, that was me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're good.
You can carry on.
Oh, no, that was it. That was it.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, I apologize. I was trying to cool off my computer with my fan.
I was like, is someone breathing heavy over there? I don't, what is that? Alan, do you have somebody in your room?
Listen, if you listen, that's the first level. That's the second level, and that's the third level. I just got a little overzealous. I apologize.
I didn't hear anything that time with it. I think you might have hit like the microphone or something
Oh,
the first
the folks is cracking up
time.
the fan. I'm sorry, y'all. It's just that I can hear the hum of my computer fan running, so I know my computer is hot. So I was trying to cool it off in the background. I probably should have pressed mute, but if I would have pressed mute, I wouldn't have been able to hear. So I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to. Patricia was over here preaching a sermon, and I'm over here fooling with the fan. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, you are fine.
Uh, uh, the predator.
Like, what heavy breathing is going on over there?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
girl. The questions have come out. So there's two. One says, curious to know what you would describe as a high value woman. That's one question. And then one question says, what advice would you give to family and friends who don't understand the feminine journey? Is it hypergamy or hypergamy? How do you pronounce that? Is it hypergamy?
Yeah, hyper.
Okay. I'm going to respond to this one first. What advice would you give to family and friends who don't understand the feminine journey, hypergamy? What do you mean? What advice? Is it your journey? I would be curious as to why you need to give them advice if it's your journey. That's I would need clarity around that question about what advice would you give to friends and family who don't understand the feminine journey, hypergamy, and also, um, is are you have you been trying to give unsolicited advice? Just curious, Patricia. Do you have any thoughts around this?
I Yeah, it's yeah. Listen, let me assume that they are just curious
Mm-hmm.
and you're not trying to explain or defend yourself. Um, I would just you know, explain your journey and where you are and where you're going, and leave it at that. If they want to join you or want to know more or are curious, then you can share more. If not, then just let it be. Let it be. I think we spend too much time. I've realized that defending our beliefs and getting people to subscribe to what we subscribe to. Um, just you can explain, but after that, if they're interested, they'll ask more and they'll, hey, could you hook me up with that mentor that you have? Or hey, what YouTube channels did you say you were watching? Or hey, what books were you reading? I really am interested in going on a journey myself. But I can't sit at a table with people who just are like fake interested. You know what I mean? Like they really just want to open up the can of worms so they can say how they feel about what you're doing. I don't got time for that. Not now. Not now. So, what advice to give them if they don't understand it? Are they interested? That's the first question. If they aren't, then there's no advice to be given. Just leave it alone. That's what I would say.
Yeah, she came back and said, yes, I don't think it was welcome when I gifted it, but I was just explaining
Mm,
my lifestyle decision when they weren't open to listening to either. What did you gift them?
um, the advice was the advice you're talking about.
I don't know. It says, yes, I don't think it was welcomed when I gifted it. Gifted what? But I was just explaining my lifestyle decisions, which they weren't open to listening to. So I have two questions. One, what did you gift? And two, how were you explaining your lifestyle? Did they ask you about a lifestyle decision and then I'm confused. Patricia, am I not reading this correctly? Yes, I don't think it was welcome when I gifted it.
I
LOL.
think I think she's responding to something that we said or commented on.
Oh, okay. Hmm. So I'm not sure. But if they weren't, I will say this in response to the last part of the statement, where you said they weren't open to listening to either, there's your answer. I wouldn't force feed people um, advice that they don't want, right? That just causes unnecessary tension. Usually, what I see happen is go live your life, do what you feel is best for you, that you've prayed about and you've got a release about, and all that kind of stuff. And when people start to see um, the changes in your life or the results or whatever, if they're curious, they'll come back and then they'll ask you how you did it. I'll use an example. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I waited a while before I told people that, the treatment plan that I was choosing to go down. And a lot of people had a lot of things to say, about the choice that I made. And then years go by, and now they want to know what I did, right? So if they don't want to listen, I say don't waste your energy. So okay, we had one more. Where did it go? Girl, I feel like this could be alive. Curious to know how you how you would describe a high value woman. I don't even know if I have the energy to answer this question in full, but how do you want to start responding to this?
I mean, I could start off with a couple of adjectives, right? I don't have a perfectly curated definition,
Right.
but a high value woman to me is a woman who is confident, who is spiritual, who is feminine, who knows her value,
Mm-hmm.
um, a woman who takes care of herself and others, um, someone who, a high value woman is educated, and a high value woman is humble. Um, and a high value woman is slow to speak. Um, those are some. There's a few. There's a few.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know if I have anything to add to that. I agree with all of those. I will underscore one point in particular when Patricia said, you know, she knows her value, and I will say, and she requires the right amount of what's the word I'm looking for? But she requires her value, meaning that, um, you know, if there was a piece of jewelry that was worth $1 million, right? I mean, I'm not trying to put a numerical value on women, so let me, but if there was a piece of jewelry that was worth $1 million, the owner of that piece of jewelry, could be very well aware that that piece of jewelry is worth $1 million, but if their confidence is not in place, whatever, then they may only require somebody to pay them $10, right? So when it comes to also being a high value woman, knowing your worth, you also have determined what is required in your relationships, any kind, friendships, family, working, whatever, to get access to the multi dimensions of that value. Um, so that's the only thing that I would add. Everything else, I 125% agree with. So, but like Patricia said, I think it's hard to um, put a definition on it. And I want to say this: women are valuable. Hard stop, right? What you do with that, it's, let me tell y'all, okay. And I'm gonna give you an example that's it's specific to one area, but I hope that it illustrates this point. I remember being in high school, and there was a pastor of one of my like fellow students, right, who came to speak to our class, ironically about sexual purity. Okay, which is how you know this was like back in the day, because they not about to let you do that today. Okay, that's a whole other conversation. So he came to talk to our class about sexual purity in a public school. So this is not like it was a Christian school or a Catholic school. Anyway, he gave this really amazing example. He said, you know, when people want to buy a house, right? Most people really want to buy a brand new house that's never been lived in before, you know, because it's shiny, it's new, and this. And he was like, but, you know, the more and more people that you let into the house, right? You know, they put a scuff mark on the wall, or, you know, they busted a light bulb or things like that. And if you know, would you want a house that 25 people have lived in, or that nobody has lived in, right? And I never forgot that because, you know, while he was talking to us about sexual purity, like you can transfer that thought to an aspect of being a high value woman, right? And so, not the only aspect, because I think a lot of times women assume that that part of being a woman is the only thing that makes them valuable, and it's like there's a litany of other things. But yeah, requiring um your value for access, like we kind of talked about earlier, to your time, your mind, your thoughts, your presence, your company, whatever, because you are aware that you are this confident woman, educated woman, spiritual woman, right? That takes time to, you know, to share her thoughts. Because you are aware of all of that, you're just not out here letting it run loose. So, and I'm not just talking about physically. So that's my add on to your response. Um, Listen, we have had some great questions after our 2 hour detour.
Right.
So, anything else, ladies? I'd be curious. If not, you know, we can always take it up for our next live stream. Well, I think our next live stream, we're definitely going to be talking about the video. Um,
Yes, yes. We could take questions at the end of that live stream as well.
what we'll do, ladies, is, well, what I'll do is I'll see if I can link to that video in the or I'll pin a comment to the link to that video on Instagram so that you can watch it and start to formulate your thoughts. I would suggest not going to the comment section of that video so that you can make sure that your thoughts are your own. I have not looked at the comments either because I just wanted to respond to the video with my own thoughts, right? So I would say watch it, and if you can watch it without reading the comments and kind of know, like, you know, what are your thoughts? Because I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts and feelings on that. So, oh, here's G Angel's question. She says, "How are you?"
He's talking to both of us.
I'm assuming.
Well, blessed and highly favored.
Yeah. No complaints at the moment. You know, life is sometimes like a roller coaster. I will say, I think my energy is a little depleted after all of the technical troubleshooting we were
Oh
doing.
gosh, yes,
So if
yes.
that's what you're sensing from me, I apologize. But y'all, we was over here going through it.
Yeah.
um. Oh, here's a question. Oh, Patricia, were you going to say something?
No, I mean, where's the question?
Um.
So if
It says, "What's up next for you, ladies, content wise?"
let's see where these questions are. Um, content wise, for me, definitely going to be doing a lot more lives. I think somebody asked a question about that.
Oh.
A lot more lives with Evelyn for sure. I'm going to be bringing back my singles club series with an emphasis on talking about, oddly enough, marriage and dating with intention, and just giving you all a front row seat to marriage. Like we did, was it a couple months ago? A year ago? No. Was it a year ago? Was Ellie born? I don't know. It was probably a year ago now, y'all. It's been so long. But um so yeah, bring more content like that. Bringing some mommy content to my channel, and then bring some vlogs as well because people have been asking for the vlogs. The vlogs are coming back.
Mhm.
So I'm excited about that.
I would say, content wise for me, I am really enjoying content that's a little more playful. So definitely more beauty content for me, which is, I don't want to say it's new on my channel because I used to do hair and a little bit of makeup many moons ago on my channel. But it's, it's a hobby of mine that I had kind of pushed to the side for a while. So definitely want to lean into that. And maybe obviously the lives with Patricia for sure. Maybe a little bit more talk about Black women in luxury, just from looking at my videos about that. It seems that that's the conversation that my viewers have enjoyed, and like, and self-care and things like that. I did some lives yesterday around self-care, and there was some lot of great engagement and questions. So that's what's coming up for me: self-care, beauty, luxury, and lives. um let's see here. Let's see. We've got another question. So Queen Lee Gina, I'm gonna call you Gina, says, "What about the value in an older lady?" I'm just gonna say I don't think the value of a woman decreases as she gets older. So I the same applies to me. I don't see age as a factor in value when it comes to
Ooh,
women
sorry, my
or
baby's
mature.
calling.
Let me see this. Yeah, as a matter of fact, hopefully if she's older, she's wiser. Hopefully, I'm not saying that that's a given, but that's my thoughts. What, Patricia? What about you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if anything, I think value increases with age.
Hmm.
Um, just because I think spiritually something happens to women as they age,
Hmm.
and definitely that wisdom, that perspective
Yeah.
that older women have, I think is also it's invaluable. So I think that if anything, the value goes up and not down with age. Evelyn, we're knocking into bedtime,
Yeah.
baby's bedtime. You
So
know how I am about bedtime.
I know. So, ladies, what I do is I'm going to screenshot some of these questions so that we can answer them next time. We want to thank y'all so much for being here with us today because, listen, it's been a minute, you know what I'm saying? And I want to thank y'all for those of you who came back after our, initial couple of tries today. I
Right.
don't think we have a date yet for the next live stream, but kind of like with this one, we're going to try our best to give you a heads up. So make sure you are subscribed to Patricia's channel, Patricia Marie, and then and have your notifications turned on there. If you're on Instagram, follow her there at Guys Design because she does a really great job of posting her stories. Also, if you're here from Patricia's Instagram, then follow my channel, which is what you're watching now. Subscribe here, turn your notifications on. We both will try to put it in our community tab or put it on Instagram. You can also follow me on Instagram at Evelyn Inc. And yeah, y'all, it's been fantastic. I think we had a birthday, so happy
Yes.
birthday. And that's it, you guys. We are going to call it a night. Thank you so much. Patricia, you have any words before we leave?
Look, guys, this, in spite of all of the technical difficulties, I really enjoyed this. It's really good to be back, and we'll try to keep these going. Okay, so just stay tuned to Instagram so that you guys know ahead of time when we'll be back on YouTube with these lives.
All right, y'all. Good night.